I'm Representative Steve Southerland, Congressman of Florida's 2nd Congressional District. I'd like to thank Richard Lewis and Forest Resources Association for the opportunity to speak with you today. I hate that I'm not able to be in attendance today. I've got to be back down in the district, tending to needs there as well as my family. But I will tell you this, part of my family is represented today. Tim Southerland, a logger from Northwest Florida, is in attendance today. Tim, please stand up and wave to the crowd. I introduced Tim to you today as a member of FRA because I want you to know that family's thick, blood is thick, and all of the issues that concern you concern me. And I hear from Tim on a consistent basis about how critical the timber industry is to not just Florida's 2nd Congressional District or the state of Florida, but to this great nation. FRA member companies are critical to Florida's 2nd Congressional District. Smurfit Stone Container Corporation, Rayonier Incorporated, and Jeff Dornan and the Florida Forestry Association. They are critical to the success of the forest industry in Northwest Florida. And I thank all of those member companies for their support and for being here in Washington this week. You know, I'll tell you, being a member of the freshman class has been an incredible experience for me. I tell people all the time, it's kind of like going from dirt track to Formula One. It's amazing how fast and the volume of things that come at us. I'll tell you, also trying to learn where the bathrooms are and where you'll find a cup of coffee. It's incredible to be thrown into the deep end of the pool. That's how our dad taught Tim and I how to swim. But I will tell you this, it's an important position to be at such a critical time in our nation's history. You know, I really believe that free enterprise is the purest form of freedom, to be able to work hard and have honest dealings. And some days the ball's going to bounce your way and some days it's not. But in this great nation, for over 200 years, we have worked hard and we've had honest dealings. And as a result, we have forged a brighter future for our children and our grandchildren. And that is the exact reason why I ran for Congress. And I believe that that is the exact reason why you came to Washington this week. I partner with you. As a freshman member of Congress, I partner with you to make sure that that free enterprise system of hard work and honest dealings will always pave a brighter future for our children and our grandchildren. I was really excited when I came to Washington about my committee assignments. I wanted committees that were a true reflection of Florida's 2nd Congressional District and the 16 counties that make up Florida's 2nd Congressional District. So I was thrilled when I drew transportation, when I drew natural resources, and then finally when I drew agriculture. You know, I really believe that through the leadership of Congressman John Mica, Congressman Doc Hastings, and Congressman Lucas over agriculture, I really believe in their leadership and their ability to help us in everything agriculture, natural resources, and transportation-wise to really forge a brighter future. America's forestry industry provides 900,000 jobs nationwide. It is critical to our economic engine. And right now, when we have in the state of Florida a 12% unemployment rate, historic, it is critical that we make sure that the forest industry is one of the key components to putting Americans back to work. I believe that burdensome federal regulations are putting this industry at a global competitive disadvantage. I'll tell you, regulations like the EPA's Boiler Mac rule alone could cost 17,000 forestry jobs in America. And I will tell you this regarding the EPA, I know of no greater threat to free enterprise than the overburdensome regulations of the EPA. The EPA's emissions regulations increase costs and destroy jobs. You know, I met a few weeks ago with a municipality over in Okaloosa County, and they were telling me that the $17 million that they had just spent on a water treatment plant will be obsolete if the numeric nutrient standard rules go into effect, and that they will have to spend upwards to another $17 million of taxpayer money, still without any assurance that that $34 million spent will meet the requirement. That, I believe, is wrong. It continues to create a cloud of uncertainty, and we all know, as private investors, that uncertainty makes you sit on the sideline and not invest into job creation. I believe that we've also got to reform our truck limits to conserve fuel and increase productivity and enhance safety. I believe very strongly that we need to have fair and equitable regulations regarding truck limits and hauling limits around our other states like Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. I believe it's terrible that we in Florida are at a disadvantage, and I believe that that disadvantage has negative effects on our economic engine and creating jobs in Florida. We've got to reduce burdensome regulations, promote greater access to America's forest resources. And I promise, as a member of Natural Resources and a member of the Agriculture Committee, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we have access to our resources, to make sure that we are energy independent and we are creating jobs for men and women. I don't like the fact that in many of our national forests, wood is rotting. And rather than putting Americans to work and sending logging crews into our national forests and hauling that wood to our mills, to our sawmills and our paper mills and biofuel mills, rather than doing that, we're letting that wood rot. I believe that's immoral. That's not smart. And I believe it's time to inject common sense back at the federal level. You know what? As a small business owner of a 3-generation business that Tim and my grandfather started almost 60 years ago, after our grandfather came back from World War II, he had about $3,000 of borrowed money, a 6th grade education, and a dream to make a difference. To make a difference for our father, Steve Sr., and me, and Tim, and Suzanne and Shane, our brother and sister. And now, the 11 grandchildren. We believe in our grandfather's vision to make a difference through hard work and honest dealings. We believe that the values of respect, discipline, and excellence, honesty, courage, and loyalty, that those values should always be able to help you in forging a brighter future. During our campaign, I related the federal government to a river. And in my closing today, I would like to leave that example with you today. You know, in our great district of CD2, we have 2 great rivers. We have the Apalachicola River, and we also have the Suwannee River on the east side of our district. Those rivers are critically important. Those rivers are part of our landscape that we've enjoyed down through the years. Those rivers are used for hauling cargo by barge. Those rivers are good for hydroelectric power. They're good for irrigation of our fields and our crops. Oh, and those rivers are good for occasionally catching some fish and running channel cat, and those rivers are good for duck hunting and kids swimming in and skiing in and used for our enjoyment. But every now and then, those rivers will rise. And they'll continue to rise. And before we know it, those rivers have gone above flood stage. And in certain circumstances, they continue to rise so much that they begin to flood our communities. The river that we loved and that we appreciated, that we depended upon, has now become a liability, no longer an asset. That river is now in our homes. That river is now 6 feet up the walls of our businesses, our churches, our schools. That river has flooded our baseball fields and our football fields, our parks. It has flooded our deer stands, our duck blinds. It's washed everything we love and hold dear away. And that thing that we once loved so much is now a nightmare to all of us. And I believe that the federal government is similar to a river. Federal government has a place. It certainly does. Our founding fathers understood that and understood that well. But I believe our founding fathers would tell you, if they could speak today, that the federal government has banks. Just as the banks of a river, the federal government has banks. But unfortunately, just as that river rises, so does the federal government. And unfortunately, the rising of that federal government and its out-of-control spending of upwards to $14 trillion of debt, everyone within the sound of my voice right now owes upwards to $45,000 of federal debt. That's your portion. And unfortunately, that is the portion of your children and your grandchildren if they are alive today. I believe it is immoral for those of us who have the knowledge and the ability to push that river back to within its banks. It is immoral for us not to do so. If my grandfather could speak today, he would be proud that Tim and Suzanne and Shane and myself, as the oldest of 4 children, 4 grandchildren that my grandfather had, he would be proud that we are doing everything within our power to push that river and get it out of our lives, get it out of our homes and our businesses, and push it down within the banks that it was designed to flow down. You know, I appreciate everything that Forest Resources Association is doing. And I believe that your partnership with me and other very responsible members of Congress are doing to push that river back to within the riverbanks. I am humbled and honored that you would give me an opportunity to speak with you today at the end of what I know has been a busy week of your membership walking on the Hill and visiting with your various members of Congress to push your issues forward. I want you to know that you have a willing partner in Steve Southerland. And more importantly than being a congressman, I am a representative. And it is my desire to represent you and the hardworking men and women that work in association with Forest Resources Association. God bless you and thank you for everything you do to preserve the American dream, and that with hard work and honest dealings, that we will forge a brighter future for our children and our grandchildren. And this nation, this exceptional nation, as Ronald Reagan always alluded to, will remain and continue to be a shining city on a hill. We will continue to be the envy of the world because of our freedoms and our liberties. God bless you, and may God continue to shed His grace on the United States of America.